This week, a hot new bombshell.
After bombshell after bombshell. A lot of stories were tracking, including an absolute bombshell.
There was a major new bombshell.
Unbelievable.
Bombshell conversation.
Reality Bombshell.
Hello, welcome to Reality Bombshell, the comedy podcast that investigates the not true crimes of your guilty as pleasures and examines reality TV through a true crime lens. I'm Ariel. I'm your resident reality TV historian. My pronouns are she, her.
I'm Ben. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the skeptic turned co-conspirator.
And together we connect clues, follow the drama, and unpack all things reality TV, one case at a time. What are we talking about today, Benjamin?
We got a nice little mini-sode here.
Heck yeah. First mini-sode of Cult Girl Summer.
Correct, yeah.
Exciting.
We're going to be talking about David Archuleta.
Oh.
Were you an American Idol watcher?
The only season I really watched was
this
that
one.
season.
Wow.
And I was super into it. I mean, I was in love with David Archuleta.
Sure.
Did you ever see that clip of like the girls watching and then when he loses, they just all start bawling?
I have seen this clip.
That
Yes,
was,
I
I mean,
have
that
seen
was
this
me.
clip.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
I remember.
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry for you.
Every morning at school, we would have like announcements for the
Sure.
whole class. And I remember raising my hand and being like, David Archuleta should have won American Idol last night.
Wow.
As my
Oh, you
announcement
were-
to the entire
you were
class. I
in
was
on
very
this.
in it. Yeah.
Wow. All
Yeah,
right.
I was
Well,
in love with him.
don't know if you've kept up with him, but let me bring you up to speed on this case.
Great. Cannot wait.
So yeah, we're talking about David Archuleta, who was on season 7 of American Idol, which was in 2008.
Yeah. Runner up.
Runner-up, yeah. So it was him versus David Cook. It was the Battle of the Davids.
Davids,
that was
yeah.
like the big thing.
Because at the end they were like, and the winner is David.
Right.
Cut to commercial.
Yeah, right, exactly,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
His song Crush peaked at number 2 on the Billboard chart. So even though he didn't win American Idol, he still like had some fame immediately afterwards.
His whole album that he came out with after American Idol was like pretty good for the time.
I feel like I've only heard Crush. So I don't
think
know.
if you put any song on, I would know all the words.
Sure.
But I can't pull them off the top
Right,
of my
of
head.
course,
You know
of
what
course.
I mean?
Yeah,
It was very
yeah.
Hillary Duff. Because
Got it, okay.
What year was this?
This was 2008.
2008. Oh,
Yeah.
Did you just say that?
I did
Yeah,
just say
okay.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You're pulling to me.
Yeah, exactly. The roles have reversed.
Exactly. So David grew up in the Mormon church.
Okay.
So that's why we're talking about him on
Cult
Cult
Girl
Girl Summer. Yes.
I didn't realize that at the time. Or I guess I wasn't aware of what Mormonism
I don't think he was. Yeah, I don't think he was like, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
So in 2012, he went on a 2-year Mormon mission. This was like after he was famous. He like left the spotlight and went on a 2-year Mormon mission.
Do you know how old he was at that time?
I don't. I think he was like 17 or 18 when he was on American Idol.
Okay, so yeah, that would make sense.
So he was
then.
probably like 20-ish.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, this all happens in 2021. He came out to his mom.
Right.
Her initial reaction was that she loved him, but quote, loved God more, and didn't think that this was the right road for him to go down.
Yikes.
That's initial reaction.
Can you imagine hearing from your parent that they love you, but they love God more?
Yeah.
That's
rough.
Harrowing. Yeah.
Rough all around.
Yeah.
There was a People article by Jeff Nelson that came out in November of 22. So this was like a year later.
Okay.
About David coming out and leaving the church.
I do remember him finding out he was gay.
Yeah. That article, like, super personal.
Really?
Yeah, it details he had 3 broken engagements with women.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I also didn't realize that until I read this article.
Wow.
Yeah, so he had three separate engagements with women.
Wow.
This article talks about his debilitating anxiety attacks.
Sure.
Mostly surrounding like his intimacy with women. Like anytime he like tried to get intimate with women, he would just like have a full-on panic attack.
Wow, and he shared this with people.
Correct.
Wow.
Talks about the repression of his queer identity. Even goes into his suicidal ideation.
Wow.
Yeah, like very, very personal article. And then eventually it gets into his decision to leave the church and come out publicly because the church would not allow him to be gay and be Mormon. Yeah. So then after the article came out, his mom reached out a couple days afterwards told him she decided to leave the church too.
Wow.
So David then, when this all, like it came out with the article, but like when I became aware of it, I guess was, again, through TikTok, because that's where I get all my news.
Yep.
David wrote and released his song Hell Together, about the whole experience, which was March 2024. And
Okay.
that song is literally about his mom saying, like, if, you know, we can't both go to heaven, like, we'll go to hell together.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's a good ending.
Totally.
Because brutal.
Yes.
Otherwise. Yeah. Yeah.
His mom did go on a podcast. This was the Mormon Stories podcast.
Okay.
To talk about this whole thing.
I saw my child praying the gay away. I saw him praying the gay away. He couldn't. There was many nights that I sat on my bed in tears of pain because I think I was feeling David's pain when he came out. I was feeling it, all of it, all the pain. And I was kind of like suffocating. I sat in church one day in sacrament meeting, and I looked around. I didn't see any LGBTQ people sitting around. I said, why is that? Am I ever going to see them sitting? I never in my, 45 years being a member of the church seen one, not that I think about it. To be honest, right now, I don't think I ever seen an LGBTQ plus sitting at church. If they were sitting there, they were probably hiding. So I looked around, sacrament meeting, and I thought, God loves his children. God is not here. That's when I thought, God is not here. Because God is love. There's no way he's just saying, yep, you belong here, and no, you don't belong here. I don't want anything to do with these beliefs anymore.
I think what's like so difficult for me to wrap my head around is like the privilege that we have of living where we live in
Sure.
the community that we're in. Like
And being surrounded by that.
exactly.
Constantly.
I can't even fathom having to like repress who I am because to that, like literally praying the gay away because
Right.
I'm afraid of what'll happen if anybody knows.
Totally.
It just isn't something that has ever even been something I've ever had to contend with
Because we've grown up in
in a very like
diverse
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. There's never been any issues about like people of color of different
Right.
religions. Like we're all like we really grew up in we're very lucky to have
Correct.
grown up where we did. But the fact that she looked around and said God isn't here
Yeah.
is like crazy.
And
It's
she-
really impactful.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that like she came to her senses,
Right,
and
yeah.
realized like what's important to me.
Well, of course she didn't right away because she was in a cult.
Correct.
Like your first instinct is never going to be to side with the other people because
Right.
it's us versus
It's
them.
us versus them.
Yeah.
And it's this is the doctrine that is passed down,
Right.
and it says
And that's
no,
what it says, yeah.
gay people are not holy, not,
Right, it's-
clean, whatever you want to say it is.
Right. Right.
And that's what she's always been taught, and this is her having to reframe her entire
Belief
state
system.
of mind, especially because she hasn't been around those people. Like she clearly hasn't been around those people because she was trying to look around and find them and
Right.
couldn't find them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is spectacular how I don't want to say how easy it was for her to snap out of it because
Sure.
I don't want to assume it was easy. But in a lot of cases, I feel like you hear about how it's years before anybody comes around. to it.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it's also like having to take the step to leave is like David is one thing because he had to either stay and not be himself or
Right.
leave and be able to be himself, but
Right.
knowing that leaving means
Losing
probably
your
losing
community.
his mom,
Yeah.
because when he made that decision he wasn't sure if she
She
was
would
going to come
follow-
with him or not.
Yeah.
And probably, losing more than just that. I'm sure there were friends, et cetera, that he was going to lose.
Full extended family,
Exactly.
like your whole community.
Right.
I mean, everybody you know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
when his mom made that decision to leave, it wasn't like that same decision. It was, I'd be losing my son. I'd be losing myself.
It's like how Jen Shaw left the Mormon church because she realized, how can I be part of a church that didn't accept my kids until
Correct.
like 20 years ago?
Right.
Yeah, right.
So it's, everyone leaves for a different reason, but there's different stakes involved
Yeah.
with leaving. And there's, probably having to weigh that.
I'm curious what the fallout's been for both of them within the church.
I think they just wipe their hands of it.
But does David live in Utah? He probably lives in LA.
I think he lives in LA. Yeah.
I
I'm pretty
assume
sure he
his
lives in
mom
LA.
probably lives in Utah.
I believe so.
Suspect.
Yeah.
So I wonder what it's like for her to go to the grocery store now.
Right.
What?
Maybe you just find other.
Where are her friends? Yeah,
you drive 20 miles to the other
grocery store. Yeah,
and so
but when
you
you're
just
in a community
avoid.
like that, everyone you're friends
you're
with,
shunned,
everyone. You suddenly don't have your people anymore.
Right.
Your extended family a lot of times. Yeah. Wow. I honestly didn't know any of that really.
Yeah,
I knew
it's
that
super
he
interesting.
came out.
Yeah.
I knew when he came out that he was Mormon.
Right.
That was when
And I don't think he was publicly Mormon before
Right.
that really.
And even if he was, I don't know that in 8th grade I would have known
Right, what that actually meant.
it was.
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
I remember hearing he came out and then in the same breath learning that he was Mormon and thinking, oh crap.
Right, exactly.
That's tough.
That's a pile
brutal.
of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. It is interesting that people still know his name. He did become a bit of a household name for our generation.
Yeah. I mean that
Yeah.
you raised your hand to say
To say
he got
that
voted,
he should have won
won
American Idol. Yeah. And he should have. I stand by that.
He was
David
important
Cook,
to
who?
Yeah,
I said
right.
what I said. Yeah.
He was important to our
Yeah.
generation, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was, yeah.
you were very
It was
adamant about this.
It was
so.
a big cultural moment. That was probably the last good season of American Idol. I don't think
I
they
think it
topped
was one of the. Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched it. I think I jumped in. I mean, we were 5 when it premiered.
Yeah.
I think I watched it from season 2 through season 8 or 9, but I think after that I fell off.
Yeah, I never watched a full season besides that. I think the next season I watched a little bit of, but then I got bored.
Sure.
Those kinds of shows never really. I can't stay
Yeah,
with
I
them.
mean,
They
it's-
don't do it for me.
right.
But yeah, not enough drama.
There's no drama
no
involved.
drama,
It is.
yeah. But I used to watch the videos of the bad auditions on
Of
YouTube.
course, those are the
You'd spend
best. Yeah.
hours on Let
Sure,
My
sure,
People
sure.
Go.
William Hung.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's David Archuleta and how Mormonism.
Ruin its life.
Yeah, kind of. I mean,
yeah. How he got out of the cult.
Yeah, he got out of the cult. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Wow.
was able to walk away. So
Wow. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. man.
totally.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to this mini-sode of Reality Bombshell. You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you're new here, take a look back through our catalog and pick your favorite franchise and listen through. We've got episodes on all types of housewives. We've got Survivor, Bachelor, Big Brother,
Jinx.
the cults now. Yeah.
Join us for Cult Girl Summer, going through undetermined amount of time.
Exactly.
Yeah, till we run out of cults
till we
to
run
talk
out of
about.
cult stuff. If you have any cults you want to, quote unquote, cults that you want to suggest that we cover, feel free to reach out to us at realitybombshell@gmail.com with any quote unquote crimes you want us to cover with any quote unquote cults.
Or non-cults, just general crime.
Exactly.
Anything.
Yeah. Remember to set your podcasting app to automatic download. It really helps us out a lot. And follow us on all social media platforms at Reality Bombshell. A big thank you to Isaac Tobe for our theme song and Tim Schools for our logo. And that's it for this mini-sode of Reality Bombshell. I've been Ben.
I've been Ariel.
Bombs away.
Reality Bombshell.